Hi, welcome to Sylvie's technique vlog. In this part, I'm going to be talking about closing and standing close when you are sparring, fighting, and even with your pad holder. So a lot of people don't realize it, but when you do pad work with your trainer, they're standing at a perfect range for your kicks and punches and strikes. So basically, they're going to stand at an ideal distance so that when you strike, you're getting that like nice pop on the pads and all of that stuff. And you're not thinking about it because this is your trainer and you're just doing your pad work. But so you're always at this like ideal pad work range, and you're going to bring that onto the bag with you so that you're basically training your body to love this distance. The downside of that is that you are also in your opponent's perfect striking range when you stay at this pad holding distance. So there's a huge difference between being at this ideal striking range and being at this ideal striking range. It's the same as when people talk too close to you and you get a little bit uncomfortable. If you can learn to stay too close, you can actually put a lot of pressure on your opponent without having to do anything. It's just a body mapping thing. So part of the difficulty in learning to stand closer and stay closer is that it's uncomfortable for you too. So you're putting pressure on your opponent by standing too close, but this feels threatening to you too. You'll see so much when people are fighting in fights and they're striking and they're doing their thing and they have to chase someone down. They'll stop at their own pad work range. Kevin and I call it the porch. You basically like stop on the porch and you're in their ideal striking range too. And especially Thai fighters are super comfortable fighting backwards. So as you step into their striking range, they're really fast and they have good timing to fire at you. So if you're coming in all threatening and then you stop before you actually become a threat, it's not great. And you just kind of are shutting yourself off mentally because you've never thought about what this distance is. So basically what I'm talking about is think about this distance. If you actually feel with someone, like an actual body next to you, where does it become uncomfortable? Like kind of creep in and you're like, I actually don't like this. This is too close. Not only am I American, but I'm from Colorado where we have lots of space. So my personal space bubble is really big. So I get uncomfortable when people are even like European distance close to me. I like a lot of space. That's not conducive to my size or my fighting style. So I've had to really learn to close distance in a conscious way. A lot of people that learn by like doing pad work and then going on the bag, they're not conscious of the fact that they're learning this particular distance, and we tend to defer to our trainers. So if our trainer is standing at that distance, that's the distance you stand at. And I think also, especially as women, we're taught not to take up space, and so we try to keep this distance, that not only are we trying to keep this distance as like a polite thing, but also because it feels like a threat to be this close, we think we're protecting ourselves, men and women, by coming out. This is way more dangerous than this. It's kind of like you have to work against your own instincts that say get the fuck out of there because that feels safer. Coming in is way safer. If I can punch you from here, I can take a step when you take a step back and punch you from here. If I have a nice pop here and you crowd that space, you've crushed my punch. I don't have the same power at close distance that I have if I'm going to be covering a lot of distance. So you have to work against your instincts and your brain and your like panic that it feels to be too close to close that distance so that you can cut off your opponent's power and kind of their striking abilities. When someone's too close to you, you think I have to back up to create space, and so you get them going backwards. The important thing to remember when you're trying to stay really close is your defense is number one. So don't stand this close not doing anything. You have to come in feeling very protected. So when you're closing your distance, make sure that you're guarding up like armadillo style or something. Just kind of like make sure that as your defense is coming in, you're protecting yourself. If you have a particular range that feels really uncomfortable, like this I feel okay, but this is not so comfortable, don't stand there. Like, find a different angle to be at where you feel like you can really be powerful, but then learn how to get to this spot where you do feel comfortable standing there. That's what the defense is for. Don't be like, this is uncomfortable, so I'm gonna come back out. Be like, this is uncomfortable, so I'm gonna find my way in, like tunneling, tunnel your way in to that distance. As I was saying before, we tend to defer to our trainers. So it's like, you tell me when to kick, you tell me where to stand, you tell me all of these things. Especially in Thailand, I don't know in the West, I don't train in the West. In Thailand, your trainer is an ex-fighter. They feel the fight, and they will feel that in the distance you take. You are not being disrespectful by not doing what your trainer is exactly asking you to do. The more you get to know them and the more comfortable you become, and if you're not like totally spastic, they like you to like throw teeps when they're not calling for it. You can kind of like step off and do different things that they're not exactly asking for. Standing too close is one of these things. So if they're giving you pad holder range because they are your pad holder, you can step in too close and throw really tight shots, or you can shove them off, or any of these things that teach you to stay really close. The thing that I'm working on right now, and I'm doing this on the bag, I'm doing this with my pad holder, and I'm doing this in sparring, is that I track the feet, right? So I'm like looking at my trainer's feet and my sparring partner's feet, and I'm like trying to stay really close to the feet. This is not comfortable for me. This is not like, oh, this is great, I never thought of this. It's something that I have to train into myself. And again, I don't like being really close to people, which is hilarious that I'm a clinch fighter, but you have to learn to own that distance for yourself. So if you're doing this on a bag or something, this is like where everyone stands, right? To throw everything because it feels really good, and you can like, you'll see people moving around the bag to stay this exact distance all the time. You want to learn to crowd, and it's nice to learn to crowd on a bag because bag not hit bag. So if you learn to crowd in this space, you can learn the kind of like body mapping, and you can learn to feel what your strikes feel like at that range. Pinu knows that because I'm small, I need to stay really close, so he'll actually, when I come in really close, want kicks out of me. He says kep kep, which means like really short. And totally when I'm here, I am like, I can't kick. I'm so close, I can't kick. That's not true. Just try it. Like, learn how to, when you're this close, you can totally still throw that kick. So instead of being like, I have to be at this distance to use this weapon, learn how to use that weapon at closer distances and create the space that you need when you're really close. And then start putting that pressure on people, on real people, on your pad holder, on your sparring partners. And this is the most fun thing about all of this, even though I've been babbling for so long, even though it's really hard to like take up that space and stay close and all of these things because your instincts are telling you to stay far for protection and all of these things. People who haven't thought about this a lot, you've trained it, so you've thought about it a lot. People who aren't used to this, stop breathing. It's amazing. Especially people who like to take distance to set their stuff up. They like move around and then they post and then they throw something. They're taking breaks all the time. That's their break. That's how they breathe. All you have to do is stand here and they stop breathing. They totally run out of air because they're like a little bit stressed by how close you are. They're like, this is too close. They're not bringing their weapons out. They're just trying to create the space that they want. And like I'm doing right now, they totally stop breathing and they get more and more and more tired, which if you ask Duuglas-Ittu whether that's a good thing or not, he took his opponents down to here and then turned on his engine. And that is why Duuglas-Ittu destroyed everybody. Because when you turn on like the thresher, that knee thresher on someone who hasn't been breathing and they're getting more and more tired, when you get really close after this was uncomfortable, done. People are done.